Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan. We're here at WPP Stream USA in the beautiful Ojai, California, and I'm sitting with 23andMe co-founder and CEO, Anne Wojcicki. I wanted to ask you about the pivot you took from being on Wall Street and ending up in kind of disrupting the healthcare space. How did that happen and what motivated you for the change?
Sure. I was on Wall Street for about 10 years. I loved investing in healthcare companies. I loved the biotech space. I loved learning about new drug targets. I loved interacting with scientists all the time and even worked with hospitals. But after let's say 5 years or so you watch the bubble came in 2000, and after that I found that there was really sort of this drought of innovation. And I started researching other aspects of healthcare, and the more I researched, the more I realized that this $3 trillion industry did not necessarily represent what I, as a consumer, thought was in my best interest, and that the system represents what's best for the system, but that healthcare, by definition, because you don't pay the bill, it's not a consumer-driven model. And that I found that it morally went against some of my core values and some of the things that I knew I wanted, and I'm a pretty strong and aggressive patient advocate for myself, that it didn't align with what I wanted from the healthcare system. So for a while I would just meet with companies and just hear over and over again, this is not the way the system should work. And I finally sort of reached a point where it was clear, you're either part of the system or you're part of the problem. And 23andMe kind of came out of this idea that one of the core elements of healthcare is being able to prevent disease. Most of diseases out there today, you could actually prevent, and it's hard to actually understand. It's hard to motivate people for prevention. But if I could get the world's data on genetics and your health information, could we actually really make transformative discoveries? And could I motivate people to actually use their genetic information to make behavior changes? So 23andMe kind of came out of this idea that I was really frustrated with the existing system, and that I really wanted to empower consumers to take more responsibility of their health, and that genetics was sort of the gateway into opening up your eyes to saying you could actually take charge of it, and that last we'd be able to sort of crowdsource this whole community of individuals who are participating in, want to know more about their health, want to know how to prevent disease, and we'd potentially be able to make really meaningful discoveries.
How do you kind of translate a lot of the complexity of DNA and make it more digestible for non-scientific folks? And what I've seen through your marketing collateral and everything has been the hook is ancestry, right? It's like the gateway to learning about DNA and kind of the gene pool that you're from. Is that a conscious decision you made, or was that the data based on your consumer research that led the strategy?
It's interesting that you think that you get that impression. We toggle back and forth between promoting more health and more ancestry, and without a doubt it's almost 50-50 when I look at consumers, who wants health and who wants ancestry. And at different ages and at different times in your life you have different interests. And to me, what's interesting about your genetics, and we've made sort of a conscious decision, we're not just an ancestry company, and we're not just a health company. We're about you, and you are multidimensional, and you have lots of interests, and there's lots of things you want to learn, and what you want to learn today might be different than what you want to learn in 20 years. It might be different than what I want to learn. And so the goal here was to really create a platform so that you're learning from your DNA, and that health is certainly one component, and ancestry is certainly one component. And in some ways what you can, relate to with ancestry is that everyone is interested in knowing where they're from. And so there's a very small number of people who are oh, I don't want to know anything. But almost everyone looks at their ancestry composition and they say oh wow, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. And everyone's favorite passion is themselves, right?
Yeah, and so we definitely cater into that, and I think that's where there's actually a lot of fun elements in the traits where people say oh, I always wonder, can I drink coffee late at night or not? Or why do I have blue eyes, and who did I get them from? And how do I compare to my siblings? And so there's a beauty of just learning about you, and actually how do you fit on this planet, and how do you fit in with the whole peer and the world that's around you. And so we sort of enable this world of discovery that's about you, but it's in the context of the entire world.
Speaking about the world and the world around us, we're obviously 8-9 days after the big election. President Trump is now, we are unsure of what his healthcare policy is going to look like next year, for the next 4 years, potentially 8 years. What do you think is going to happen, or what are you fearful of, or what are you hopeful for from government?
I think I'm dying to know what it will be, and it'll be interesting to look back on this interview in a year and actually see, was I right or was I wrong. I've been spending my days calling around to people, just trying to understand what is it potentially going to even look like. So my hope, and what I read from Trump's, what he has said so far, is that he's definitely interested in pushing things through faster in the FDA, and I think that with technology, there's, and this sort of new movement where people actually do want to learn more about themselves and take charge more and more, that there's a real opportunity to combine the consumer drive and technology to actually speed up the approval for all of these, and also to leverage all this data that we can eventually collect to understand better, are there side effects, are there errors, are some things not working well.
So we're at WPP Stream, we've been talking a ton about tech, brands, advertising, and 2017. Is it fair to say that the future of your business is all around direct-to-consumer, or is there a different 2017 strategy from a distribution approach?
I'm a consumer business, and I think that that's part of what makes us also really unusual and unique, is that there are not a lot of direct-to-consumer health-related companies.
Not in that space.
And that's where I think I'm sort of almost like a vehement pioneer that the consumer needs to be in charge of themselves. Like, you need to be able to be empowered to make the decisions about yourself, and we need to make that as frictionless as possible. So I look at other channels, like we are selling right now through employer groups. We do research partnerships, but the core of my business is today and always will be the consumer.
Final question. During your talk, you could feel the admiration in the room, and there was a lot of feedback afterwards that you inspire a lot of people. What motivates you at this stage in your life and in your career, and what inspires you to sort of keep going, given all the success that you've had to date?
So I was talking to a friend this morning who has a company also in the genetic space, and we have sort of this similar story that when you've watched a parent see their child die because of a genetic disease, or when you've seen someone really suffer because of some kind of illness. And I used to work at Bellevue Hospital in New York and at San Francisco General, and and I have very vivid memories of specifically a father watching his daughter die of cystic fibrosis, and there's nothing in my mind that brings out honesty like health. Health is the ultimate equalizer of all mankind, and I'm just super passionate about trying to enable people to live as healthy as possible lives. And I think back on childhood, and I was like, I think I might have been overly traumatized by watching Terms of Endearment, and even here at this conference, there was somebody who was talking about how their spouse found that they have the BRCA mutation, and they were able to prevent breast cancer, and they have little kids, and honestly, like, when I hear those stories, like, there's nothing, like, I get fierce. Like, it's all about, like, people need to be people need to be empowered, and you deny someone that opportunity, and you potentially kill them, and you take away small children, you take away their mother. I'm ready to fight.
Good for you. So it's pretty clear that health is the one equalizer amongst us all.
Completely.
Well, I've no doubt that you will continue to soar next year, and as will your company, and thank you for chatting with us and for being here.
Thank you. I loved it. It was a great conference. Yeah.
Good. Well, we loved having you.
Thanks.